Hello there. This is Adam Buchanan with episode 18. This is First Generation Bowhunter. Hey, listen, if you're a first generation bowhunter, you are in the right place. So make sure to subscribe and tell fellow bowhunters just getting started. This is the place to be. All right. Drop in on the more episodes. We've got some really cool episodes to go back to as well. But this one I'm especially excited for because Collin is here. Collin Cottrell. Before I tell you about how we kind of got connected, I thought I'd tell you that I just heard a podcast of you, Collin, with Red Beard Outdoors, but you're never going to guess how I listened to that podcast, what state I was in.
I probably wouldn't guess. I know you're in Utah right now, right?
You know what I did? I fired up that episode and I listened to it in my ice bath this morning.
Oh, nice. Man, that was a long time in the ice bath.
I know. I think I made it about 15 minutes, which is probably 5 minutes longer than Wim Hof recommends. But I've been geeking out on these ice baths. Have you tried them? Do you do these regularly?
So I don't do them regularly, but I have done them in the past. And specifically, we did quite a few last year while we were at the Origin USA Jiu-Jitsu camp, immersion camp. We were doing, I mean, it was like 85 degrees during the day. We'd go train jiu-jitsu and then come back and, hit that ice bath for 2 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
because it was cold as heck. But man, I actually like ice baths a lot, and I think there's a lot to it. And I guess research is starting to show that there's a lot of good things that help you mentally and physically as part of that as well. So it's something actually, if I had the right tools and the right setup, I'd like to actually start doing something like that myself.
So this is what I did because I've been kind of bothered at a few things, how I've been feeling lately, like sleep,
Hmm.
anxiety, stress.
Yeah.
So I picked up one of those water troughs off
Oh
Facebook
yeah.
Marketplace.
Yep.
And it's been so cold here that I just have the water sit out there with some bromine tablets, so it keeps it somewhat sanitary. It's been killer. I've been doing it twice a day for 6 days, man.
That's solid, dude. That's awesome. What kind of benefits are you feeling right away or right now?
So I hope everyone listening feels like this is an infomercial for ice baths. So
For
I'm
Wim
just
Hof.
I'm geeking, man. I'm geeking hard. I lost 10 pounds in the last week.
Dang.
I've been at 199, 200 forever. I
Yep.
just got on the scale. I've been kind of checking and I'm at like 190.
Dang, dude.
And
That's
I haven't
crazy.
changed a whole lot. I think my body's just like processing things different. The other thing is I'm a late night. Are you a late night
Yep.
guy?
I am. I'm a late night guy. If you see my check-ins on Instagram, it's usually like for Central Time, it's usually like 11, 11:30, even sometimes midnight. I go work out after the kids are down and my wife wants to go take her evening bath. So,
Yeah, I've noticed that about you. You do a lot of late night runs. I'll go to the
mhm.
gym probably 3, 4 times a month from like 11 to midnight.
Yeah, I don't know, for some reason, I just do real my body does really well working out in the evenings. I don't do, any supplements and stuff like that in the evenings or any like, stuff to get me hyped up or anything like that. So that it doesn't affect me that much. I just really focus in and I'm able to lift a lot better in the evenings. And then I obviously when I on my days I do jujitsu training, I do that usually around 7 o'clock. So I actually kind of like those late nights. I get the kids down and I've got that little bit of time. It's kind of my time to wind down from the day, think about
Yeah.
everything that has went through the day, and then kind of prepare myself for the next day. And then in between that, obviously I'm lifting and doing my workout. So
Well, so I've intentionally been a poor sleeper. And I say that because I've chosen that. Like
mhm.
I'm on my phone, I'm watching YouTube, I'm laying in bed, got the phone above my
Yeah,
head,
yeah, yeah.
and like dozing off, it smacks you in the face. Like that's me. And dude, 10 o'clock, 10:30, my body's like, we're done. Go to bed.
Yep.
And I sleep from 10:30 at night to about 7 a.m.
Oh, that's not too bad
And
though.
it's
It's a pretty good amount of sleep.
it's a good amount of sleep. And
Yeah.
it's so if anyone is having sleep troubles, or if you want to fine tune that, I noticed that after 2 days.
Yeah. So you're doing these ice baths in the morning or you're doing it actually in the evening before you go to bed?
Both. So I
Both.
do
Gotcha.
it in the morning, and my morning one, I feels like it gives me this jolt of energy that I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm not caffeinating at all. I'm not anything. And then at night, I'm like, okay, we're done. Like,
Yep.
it's just resetting. I feel like it's hard resetting my body right now.
That's
It's
cool.
phenomenal.
That's
So,
awesome, man. I definitely, I agree with you though. That's something I need to probably go get one of those water tank troughs, cattle troughs as well, and kind of do the same thing. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
and even just turning the shower on 30 seconds at the end of your shower.
Yep.
That's what I'm reading in this Wim Hof book, that you just
Even
turn
as
that
simple
on.
as that. Yeah.
Just
That's
kind of
cool, man.
trains. It's wild.
That's awesome, man.
Well,
Good for you.
Collin,
I'm glad it's helping you.
it's cool. I mean, I just,
Yeah.
I feel like a total goofball, like telling everybody like, you got to try this, but it really is effective. And it's funny when you
Yeah.
ask people like, how are you sleeping? How's your stress? Everyone's like, terrible. It's like, okay, well, what if I had a solution for you for
Yeah.
free?
Yeah. $7.99 plus
Yeah.
tax.
Can everyone Venmo me like what they think that's worth and just blow up my Venmo? That'd be really cool. Collin, you have a cool background. Tell me, when did you first start bow hunting?
Man, I actually was kind of, I don't know, I would consider myself kind of late on the bow hunting side. So I grew up obviously in a family. We hunted. My uncles hunted, my dad hunted. So it wasn't something that was not normal for us. You know, it was something that was part of our heritage. We grew up hunting. I mean, I remember being in a stand when I was 3, 4 years old,
Mm.
sitting there in the snowy, cold Minnesota winter, November morning, you know, with my dad, and he's handing me little pieces of chocolate candy and telling me to shut up and be quiet and wait for the deer to come. And you know, I'm just sitting there with my dad enjoying that time together. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a great memory for me. Um, but I didn't actually get into the bow hunting side of things until I was, I think, a junior or a senior in high school. I think it was my junior year.
What
I actually had a buddy.
made you want to switch? I mean, because you've
Yeah.
done rifle for so long. What was that switch about?
Well, so in Minnesota, you can start rifle hunting when you're 12. So I went from rifle hunting at 12, and then so I guess I was 5 or 6 years later, you know, I started doing that bow hunting. But for me, it was like for rifle season in Minnesota for deer, it's only 2 weeks long, the season. So November, usually the first or second weekend in November, you know, through the next weekend. So, you know, it's like that 2 week period, and that's it. That's all you have.
Mm.
So I was like, man, there's got to be more time that I can spend out in the woods doing something that I'm becoming very passionate about and enjoy. And for me, it was like, man, like you only have that 1 2 week period. That's your one opportunity. Now, if I could sit out there all year and enjoy it, and then start to learn the patterns of deer, learn, you know, all the other sides of it than just, you know, rut crazed deer. I was like, man, it'd be so awesome to do that. So then my dad introduced me to bow hunting, and actually a buddy in high school who was also a bow hunter. He kind of said, man, I'm into this bow hunting thing. You got to try it too. So it was kind of a combination of my dad and one of my buddies from high school. And it kind of got me passionate about it. And from there, my dad ended up having a bow laying around. It was an old PSE bow. And he's like, hey, you can use this bow. And so I started, I mean, I didn't know anything about it. He didn't give me any lessons. He's like, here's the bow, start shooting. So, and you know, back then we didn't have like really much for YouTube and stuff. You know, this is back in the early 2000s. So I wasn't like going on YouTube trying to search John Dudley and figure out how to shoot a bow. I mean, it was basically trial and error. Like I'd see my uncle shoot, I'd see my dad shoot. I'd be like, I kind of watch them, and even their form wasn't that good. Not if you consider like
Yeah.
what we have now. So it's kind of funny, man, to look back at those early days. And I was flinging arrows at 20, 30 yards, and they were all over the board, and they're all over the target. But I eventually started to, you know, hone my skills and learn and learn from other people. And from there, you know, you just grow and get better. So,
I think that's a big trip up with technology. People get all geared out, and I do too. I get excited about the gear, the broadhead, and the arrows and all this technology. But in all reality, just what 20 years ago, we were killing deer with
yeah.
arrows with that technology, and then hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, they were killing deer and animals with
Yep.
whatever they could find with arrowheads. I think why do you feel like bow hunting is so special? Because for me, it's like that primitive tie-in, but
Yep.
what's it about with you? Like what's that tie that really keeps you around bow hunting?
Yeah, man. For me, there's kind of four phases to it for me, really. And probably the top two are just the time spent in nature for me is super big. Like I just love to spend time in the woods. I don't care if I kill anything, if I even see anything, like just being out there, clearing my mind, taking that time to kind of center myself and reset myself. Super important for my mental health. But second of all, probably my favorite part other than that would be the camaraderie. Just spending time in hunting camp, telling stories, eating good food, enjoying, time with good people. My earliest memories are spending time in our rifle hunting camp, my Cottrell family hunting camp up in the north woods of Minnesota. We'd sit around the campfire. My uncles would tell all these awesome stories. We'd celebrate when people brought back a deer to camp. We'd eat a lot of good food. It's just a time of fellowship and camaraderie, and those are my top two things that I really love. Outside of that, it's doing something that's challenging and hard and learning from those things. And that's super important to me. And then, just being in the woods around nature and doing it with people that you love, and then obviously that goes into the conservation side of things too. It's important for us to take out the excess amount of deer that there is, to help manage the land. And then that money, from our license sales and those kinds of things obviously go back into conservation efforts as well. So those are kind of my four phases they're important to me when it comes to hunting, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, you're right. Like that primitive side of it, like just being out there and using, whatever you have and learning from it and kind of going from there. There's something special about that for sure.
The money that goes back into it is kind of mind-boggling, honestly. I mean, you look
Yes.
at the fees, you look at registering an ATV, right?
Yeah.
You want to know what it costs for me to register my motorhome in Utah? It's a 2018
Yeah.
and it's a recreational vehicle.
Of course.
$600 a year.
Ooh, cheapers, man.
And Utah has kind of made this big effort that, right, we're going to put more into, we're going to charge more is what they
Of
put that effort
course.
into.
Yeah.
But, and I joke and I'm like, oh, that hurts, whatever. But then you think of what it goes back to.
Yes.
It's important things. And so when we go to national parks with friends or something, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to pay $15 a car. I'm like, it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, like chip in, right?
Exactly. Well, we need to start issuing bird viewing licenses for people who go out and like nature watch and stuff like that. We need to charge them for doing that. They need to have a license for that.
Oh
Because
my
here's
gosh.
the thing. Here's the truth of it. I mean, that's basically what we pay for. You know what I mean? We have these licenses that obviously gives us the opportunity to kill an animal and take it home and eat it. But we're paying these fees, to go out and hunt an animal. Obviously, we've got the Pittman Robertson Act, where a lot of those fees from hunting license sales and hunting equipment sales go back into into conservation, which is super important.
Or I think like squirrel monitoring fees. like I monitor the
gotta get your
sounds of
squirrel. Yeah, gotta get your squirrel monitoring tag.
Hey, I heard 15 different squirrels. Hey, that's $78. Okay. That's how it is. Sorry.
Oh,
That's what our kids are going to be dealing with, man. They're going to be like, Dad, what's up with these squirrel taxes?
Yeah.
Like, well, in my day, we didn't have that. So
Yeah. Back in the good old days.
I know, man. Well, tell me like some game-changing gear for you, because I do like to talk about gear. I don't want to get too worked up about it, but was there something that was kind of the goal of First Generation Bowhunter on the show is let's close up your gap of learning.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
so
what
totally,
was it for you?
Yeah, for me, and I'll be straightforward honest with this, man. I'm a gear junkie, but I'm not a gear junkie. So yeah, of course I love trying new gear and stuff like that, but I'm also a dad and I'm building a new business venture right now, and I'm on a tight budget. The economy, the inflation's going up, all these different things. So
Yeah.
I'm a pretty tight guy with my money right now, and I'm pretty I'm pretty conservative in where I put my money. So I'll be honest, man. My bow is a Hoyt Nitrum that I've been shooting since I think 2013,
Hmm.
and or maybe 2014 when it first came out. So I don't have the latest greatest bow. Um, I buy usually a dozen arrows every year and try to conserve those throughout the year and use what I have. I've been pretty blessed with some different connections working in the hunting industry for 15 years. So I'll sometimes I'll have friends that'll send me some new arrow vanes or some new broadheads to try, some different things like that. And I'll kind of just go with whatever I have laying around and use. I'll try some different things here and there because I do have this side of me that likes to try new things, but I've got this side of me that's pretty tight on my budget. And just I guess just over my years and my experience of hunting and bow hunting, you start to realize that it's the equipment, is fun, and it's really cool to have this new stuff. But I think especially for new bow hunters, don't get lost in that. Like I know that some of these new bow hunters, it kind of gets them in the game because they're all gear guys too, and they come from maybe video or video games and this other world where got these cool things. But don't get lost in that. If you're somebody who is getting into bow hunting or just getting started, you don't have to have the latest greatest stuff. If you've got something that's 10, 12 years old, it's still going to probably work just right. The main thing for me, I think, would be to go into a reputable bow shop, have your bow looked over, make sure you get some good accessories on there, make sure your shooting length is right, your draw weight's right, and actually invest your time and money more into maybe somebody teaching you better form, or into going to some place where you're going to be around people and kind of build a tribe of bow hunters around you that are going to help you level up in your bow hunting game as a bow hunter. So I think that, and I know this doesn't answer your question because it's kind of deflecting the gear side of it, but I think that's what's kind of funny about it.
Yeah.
we,
It's
we've got
true.
all these blogs and all these podcasts and stuff that are all dedicated to this gear stuff. I don't listen to those, man. I just don't. Now, some of the tinkering stuff, like Dan State does some tinkering stuff. I'll listen to some of that because I like to stay in the know and like to kind of know what people are interested in, what they're thinking
Sure.
about. And it's really interesting. I've heard from Dan and from others that like those videos that he puts on YouTube actually get the most views. So it shows you like how important that is within the industry. People love that stuff. But for me, I just love the other side of it more. Like just get out there, go bow hunting, learn from every time you're out in the field, enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy Mother Nature, um, spend time with people that you love and want to be around. So
There, I think there's a huge risk in over investing in things early on. Well, I'd been shooting a while and I see this Garmin Zero sight. And I've thrown shade on this site before, so this isn't my first time.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
sorry, Garmin. Okay, you can just throw some hate mail on me on LinkedIn. I I had that thing on my bow, and I just could not feel confident shooting with it. And it was cold weather, and the battery was freezing up, and it wasn't working.
hmm
And I think I had that thing for 2 months. Here's what it was too. It was an expensive site. I mean,
yeah. I think they're
my
like
gosh,
$1,000, right?
I think they're 1,000 MSRP. I think I got mine used. It was like an older version for like 600.
Yeah,
And
dang.
man, I was just so excited, and I was like getting all mixed up into it. And then what happens, I think, too, is it's kind of putting the cart before the horse of like,
Yeah.
oh well, if I have this and this and this, that does not equal success, especially in
Oh
bow hunting.
no, definitely not. Definitely not, man. You're spot on with that. And I think guess just referencing back to what I was just saying, I think we get a lot of these young guys or these newer bow hunters that get lost in this gear, lost in the shuffle of all the latest and greatest stuff that they can put on their bow. When really you look back to the origins of bow hunting and Fred Bear and some of the others, and those were innovators. Don't get me wrong, and they
Mm.
innovated some pretty cool stuff to where we are now. But we were using a stick and a string. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
Native Americans were using a stick and a string, man, and they were getting after it. So, yeah, I get it, man. Like it's going to bring new bow hunters in the gear thing because it's cool and it's interesting. But I think there's this fine line where, you know, a lot of people get lost in it. And now you're carrying a pack full of stuff that you're only going to use every once in a while. And honestly, man, like I went out in the woods the other day turkey hunting. I had 3 arrows in my quiver. One of them, actually, I lost a knock on. So I had 2 arrows that I could shoot with. I had a pack of broadheads that I borrowed from a buddy because I forgot to grab my broadheads before I left home.
Oh,
And my bow's been sitting in my truck for the last couple weeks. I haven't shot it, to be honest, because I've been working and working on different stuff with my business venture. So I went into camp. I shot about 10 arrows. I felt comfortable. I knew that I was going to be taking an 8-yard shot on a turkey anyway. And hey, I was ready to go. I didn't worry about everything else, you know, that was, you know, I made sure everything was working right. Obviously, I want to do my due diligence and make sure I'm making ethical shots and giving the, you know, the animal the respect it deserves. So don't get me wrong on that. But hey, I went out there, I went bow hunting, I killed a turkey, and I went back home and I made some memories with my daughter, and now I'm back at home. And you know, that's I had a great time, and I love it, and I love bow hunting. So
yeah, you're
yeah,
not
don't get
overthinking it.
yeah, don't overthink it. Don't and if you're going to spend more time, invest more time in your form and those kinds of things, and even invest more time in just putting yourself in situations where you're going to build a tribe of people around you that are like-minded, you know, in the bow hunting community. I think that's what's really important.
From a training perspective, what is something that really has stuck out to you of, you know, a certain technique or a certain exercise? What have you really recommend a lot to newer bow
Yeah,
hunters?
it's a good question, dude. We have this generation now that really takes hold and the importance of, you know, fitness and health and wellness and stuff like that. So I love seeing that, and kudos to my buddy Cam Haynes, who, you know, really started that and got a lot of hate in the early days, and even Dan Staten was one of the first guys too, kind of pushing that kind of stuff. So those are 2 good friends of mine, and those guys got a lot of hate in the early days, and I always thought it was really cool that they were doing that they were trying to live this fitness lifestyle and how it integrated into their bow hunting lifestyle. And as I've gotten older and matured and been on this path of self growth for myself and wanting to get in better shape, and not only for bow hunting, but even for just being a better man and a better husband for my family, I thought it was important that I need to get in shape for that part. But obviously, it translates into bow hunting and giving, you know, the animal the respect it deserves by, you know, putting your full effort into that animal. So for me, the game-changing thing, this is kind of interesting, and I'm wearing a Brazilian top team shirt right now, is BJJ. Me getting in my transition into starting Brazilian jiu-jitsu has been huge for me. It's been a game changer. So and people can go look at my Instagram if they want to kind of look more into like my transformation over the last couple of years. But you know, I went from being a pretty chubby guy, 290 pounds, down to about 215 pounds. And I would say that yes, I focused on my nutrition, I focused on counting my macros and doing my diet right, but my workouts and integrating BJJ into it has been a huge game changer for me. And now I'm finding out, like, climbing mountains, climbing hills, you know, doing a lot of hiking and stuff like that. Man, my energy levels are way up, and and I can just sustain that energy for a long time. I can run and hike miles now. So for me, like, if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're into training, I would check out some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, find a local gym, start doing some training. You're going to find out that you're using body parts and muscles and things that you don't even know you have,
Yeah.
compared to because I lift a lot too, and I love to lift, but this is a whole nother side to it. And I think it actually translates well, especially for a Western style bow hunter.
So really, you're more focused on just the full body thing, not so much, you know,
Yes.
oh, how do you pull back the bow? And do you feel like that just kind of comes naturally over time, like you just doing it through reps and but people overlook the full body health?
Yeah, I mean, maturity is big part of that for me too. You know, now that I'm in my mid 30s and I'm thinking about longevity and I'm thinking about legacy, those kinds of things. Like, I want to be around a long time for my kids and for my family, and bow hunting is just a small part of my life in reality. You know what I mean? So while I love bow hunting and it's one of my biggest passions in life, you got to think about the other side of life too. So, but yeah, man, just to kind of hit the nail on the head with that, man. It's important to be well rounded, I think, in all aspects of life. So as a bow hunter, you can't be this big muscle guy and think that that's going to do it for you. I think you got to be able to hike hard. You got to be able to have the mental side, the mental game to stay in stay in, especially if you're a Western bow hunter, hiking and hunting in the mountains. And then you've got to have, you do have to have some muscle too. It's good to be strong. So having those three areas is definitely important. I lift usually 2 to 3 times a week, and I usually roll and train jujitsu 3 to 4 times a week, and then I run a couple nights a week as well. So I want to be well rounded for my family and for my for my community and the people around me, but I also want to be well rounded for my bow hunting game, so I can get back out west hopefully here within the next year and get after some elk and mule deer.
One book that, for those that, it sounds intimidating, like, holy cow, 6-7 days a week
Yep.
working out. You might be working out no times a week. The book that really changed it for me was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about these 1% increments.
Yes.
And just these little, and the biggest example he shares, and I think is most relevant, is getting to the gym. And people were like, and I see this every January, because I've been at my gym for 4 years, and I've just gotten into such a groove now that January comes around and this big group of people come, and we all hear about this, like everyone talks about the whole New Year thing, but what they do is they come and they work out really hard, and they go an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and their body is screaming at them like, we don't do this. What is going on?
Not used to this.
Yeah. And then they peace out. And that's what Atomic Habits is about, is go for 10 minutes. You're going to hate it. But then tomorrow go for 15. And then build and build and build. It's incredible.
Oh, I've actually went by that. It's my fitness trainer and coach, Josiah Novak. He's an awesome guy, and he really preaches that as well. He's a pretty high level coach. He's trained some pretty big names actually. And when I hired him last year, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm one of these guys who played college football. I understand nutrition. I understand working out. I used to work out a lot, but for me, it was more of a mindset thing. And I think that's a mindset thing, like where, like, we want to go all in, especially us big, strong guys, we want to go all in and get after it. But then next thing you know, a week later, we're done and we're not doing it anymore because we're sore, we're tired, we're out of it. But one of the things he preaches is exactly that, the 10-minute rule. Get there, work out for 10 minutes. Next thing you know, you've been there an hour, you feel good. You're back home, you're sore, maybe tired, but you're gonna go back tomorrow and do the 10 minutes. Maybe you might go for 30 minutes tomorrow, but the consistency is the important part, and sticking with it, over time.
When we make these big changes, it is interesting to see that someone like a Cam Haynes or Dan Statton early on is getting shade thrown at them. Why do you think that is? Because it just seems like it's such a good thing, and the world needs more of this more than ever. But why is it so repulsive to society? I kind of wrapping my head around that.
Dude, that's a really good question. I don't know if I have the right answer for it, but from my experience and from what I know is, unfortunately, there's a lot of jealous people out there who aren't willing to put in the work and put in the time and the effort to earn their place. So when they see somebody else doing that, they get, they're offended by it. They don't like it. They don't like to see that because it's not them. And here's the reality of it. You can be the guy who goes to, who changes your life. I mean, I was that guy. I used to be one of those kind of people who used to throw shade, like, you don't have to do all that to be a bow hunter. Well, of course you don't, but it's only going to help you in all areas of your life, and it's going to improve you with your family, your relationships, your business, all the different areas, especially your bow hunting, side of things. So I think there's a lot of people out there who get jealous because they don't want to put in the work and they're too lazy to put in the work. So that's probably just the reality of it.
Even in the last week, as I've been talking about ice baths on social media,
Yep.
I'm getting people throwing shade at me, like, It's funny because I'm like,
Why are you doing that? Well,
why would you? I would never do that. That's stupid. That's crazy. I don't want to freeze. And it's like, no, I get it. I mean, my head was there. Just, I'm like, oh man, that's a lot to wrap around. But there's obviously something here. There's
yeah,
obviously some method. And people, it's like we all want these quick fixes, and
yeah,
just like, the meat shows up in the grocery store and we don't know where it came from. And it's like, okay, great. Yep. I just accept this. Or, oh, I've got mental health issues. Well, that's what it is. And I can't change it. And COVID and it's like,
lots of excuses.
and it's like, when are we going to put our foot down? And I think for me, my personal transformation came alongside of bow hunting. And I talk about this in an early episode about finding your purpose and what is the
Yeah,
purpose of doing this. You are going to lose friends as you
yeah,
venture down this path. That's just a
yeah,
fair warning. And you're going to be repulsed by people on Instagram. You're going to unfollow a lot of people. My wife jokes at me all the time. She's like, who do you follow? Like, you don't follow anyone. Like, there's no one on here. And I'm like, yeah, it's because there's not a ton of value out there.
yeah, yeah. You're exactly right. I totally understand. I totally get it. Your tribe becomes smaller as you start to integrate yourself into certain areas of life, and growth is a big part of that. As you start to grow, and level up in your life, like the people around you who don't want to do that or don't have, the drive to do that, they're going to be repulsed by it because they're not doing it. So, um, there's something definitely to be said about that. It's unfortunate that it goes that way. I've lost a lot of friends over the last couple of years during my transformation, and it's not because I don't care about them and love them. I think it's more because, I just don't spend as much time around them because they're stuck kind of in their old ways, and I'm moving forward in my life and trying to grow and advance. It's interesting. I was just listening to a podcast before this, and it was a young guy, and he was talking a lot about his younger friends who were throwing shade at him because, hey man, you're out there, you're living your dream, but you forgot about us. Well, he didn't forget about you. He's moving forward in his life and he's advancing. It's not that he doesn't care about you, it's just that he's in a different place now. So I can totally relate with that. I'm in a totally different place now than I was 2 years ago, and I'm just trying to grow and improve and advance in life. And people who are truly your friends and people who truly want to see you succeed, they're going to come alongside you. And referencing to social media, man, I've unfollowed a lot of people that don't offer any good value and offer anything that's that's not just about them or what they're trying to sell or whatever. It's interesting. I think that people I really enjoy to follow now are people who are referencing to their negative things in life that they actually don't like to share, but are sharing anyway because they know that that's going to give value to other people. So
Yeah. No, it's an interesting little thought there. And the other thing I was going to say on that note too was we just have such a cool opportunity to change. We have every resource at our fingertips right now. And
totally.
it's just like, you don't even, you don't even have to go too far. I'm also referencing that book, David Goggins, The Can't Hurt Me, and how he talks about pain and how he
Yeah.
talks about difficult things and going towards those. I've always kind of struggled with that. I kind of path of least resistance. You know, we're me, my wife and I, we renovate vintage trailers. We
Yep.
do about 3 or 4 a year, and it's a lot of work. And there'll be a part in that process where I'm like, I don't want to do the electrical. Friggin' hate the electrical. and and when I just lean into that and I'm like, dude, I'm doing the electrical. I'm ripping up a wall. I'm gonna have to fix it and make it
Yep.
look nice. And my wife has
Yep.
to approve it, which is a high bar. And but I feel so much better. It's hard, and I've seen that in bow hunting too, when you're just like, oh man, we got to go up that ridge. Oh, like let's just stay here. Let's just
Well,
chill
it's
here
that
a little
it's that
longer.
mental side, that I was talking about earlier. There's the physical side, there's the emotional side, there's this mental side. Like there's all these different things. If you want to have success in anything, you've got to be working towards growth in all those areas. So, hey, if you look at this mountain, guys like Cam Haynes and Dan State, and they're going to look at that mountain and be like, all right, let's go. We're gonna get up over that. We're gonna get after this big bull or big buck. And then some guys who aren't in that growth mindset, they're going to look at it and be like, oh crap, we have to go do that next. You know what I mean? So, and it's just like that in any area of your life. It's attitude, but it's also just preparing yourself and being ready for those moments. Things are going to happen in life where it's not always going to go the way you want it to go. It typically never goes the way you want it to go. So you have to adapt and overcome and be prepared and keep a positive attitude so you can, fight through those situations. And not even just in bow hunting, but just, in life in general, man. It's so important to fight through those tough situations and get through them, learn from them, take what you learn from them and use it towards the next phase in life.
Well, and on the other side too, when people get in your way and they are giving you a hard time, I don't know if anyone's experiencing this right now who's listening, but you have to understand and accept that they are hurting at
Yeah.
some level. They are hurting. And I actually had a podcast before this one a couple of years ago. It was a marketing podcast. And I was like 2 episodes in, I got one of the most vulgar, terrible messages. And I was like blown away, and it shut me down. Like it
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
shut me down. And I remember Pat Flynn, he's a pretty good dude, big
Oh yeah.
entrepreneur guy. And he talked about that, and I can't imagine the shade that guy gets.
Oh man.
But just to kind of wrap up that note, if you ever do get that, especially as you're heading into bow hunting, and maybe you come from a big rifle family, or maybe you
Yep.
just come from a non-hunting,
Yeah.
type of group of peers and friends and family, things are going to change. And it's just people who haven't dealt with their demons, just
Yeah.
trying to express it any way they can.
Yeah. You got to look at that for sure. Cause people are hurting in different areas and they're struggling. They're going through different things. And that's typically where any hate or any, I know that when I was hurting and I was struggling and I was going through, tough times in my life, I was expressing that to others and projecting that on others and hurting others because of that. So I hate that I did those things, and I hate that I hurt my wife, or I hurt my brother, I hurt my friends in different ways. But I also learned, and I look back at, and I had to learn from those situations and realize, like, hey, I need to get at the root issue of what's going on here so I can get better myself and then be better for the people around me.
One example of kind of building up your tribe and surrounding yourself with good people is an example with you that I've had with you. Rewind before I started the podcast. First off, I'd been thinking about doing a podcast for far
Yep.
too long, and I'd been wanting to do this. But when you have something kind of cool you want to do, but you're just not sure what to name it or how to
Yep.
actually approach it. And it's kind of like I have 4 kids, and when we named all of them, you're just like, I know you're going to be a boy, but I don't know what I'm going to name you. And we're excited to have you here, but
We'll figure this out.
I've got 2 years left of college, and I'm still figuring out my stuff. Right. One thing that was cool, just in like 2 brief conversations I had with you before I launched this, I was like, Collin, like, I want to do this thing and I want to do a hunting podcast. And you're like, okay, like, tell me about it. And I was getting stuck and I just couldn't communicate. And I was like, oh, I think I want this. And then I sat on it, and we were supposed to record at Expo, and we didn't. And I'm glad we didn't, actually, because it would have been going down the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, there are first generation bow hunters out there just like me. And then I ran that by you, and you were just
Yep.
like, that's it. That's how you can
Yeah.
serve people. That's how you
Yeah.
can help. And so as we think about tribes and the importance of it, first generation bow hunter is a product of my extension of a tribe with you,
Yeah,
sir.
exactly.
So thank you for that. Speaking of that, let's hear about high caliber hunts. This is a really interesting way of going on a hunt and being around others, but like nothing I've ever seen before. And I don't think anything like the industry has seen before.
Yeah, let me back up quick, Adam, before we jump into HCH. I just want to say I'm pumped that you're that you've started doing this podcast, and I'm seeing you grinding and getting after it, man. And I really appreciate that you actually did reach out to me, and I was able to give you a little bit of advice and help you kind of get on the right path with this whole thing. And I think it's really cool that the biggest thing that you're doing is, you're offering value to people that people can relate with. You're a relatively new hunter. You're somebody who's been out in the field for a few seasons now, have had a little bit of success, and you understand all the different areas that you've had to learn through and grow through even early on to be able to put out a product like this and help other people and give value to them. So kudos to you, or back to you, for even just doing that and getting started. I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is even just, you go through this process of wanting this perfect product, but just getting started and getting on that path is what's super important. And so you're on it, man. I love it.
Thanks.
To jump into high caliber hunts, yeah, man, this is something that actually I've been thinking about for a few years now, and I just didn't know exactly what it looked like or how it was actually gonna become like a business venture. But as as I talked about early on in this podcast, like the camaraderie, the time in camp, the time spent with good people, it's something I value very highly. It's something that's super important to me. And as I've went on this growth journey over the last couple of years and really leveled up in my life, having good mentors around me and rebuilding my tribe has been a big part of my own success and my own growth in life, and helping me become a better father, a better husband, better relationships with my friends, a better business owner, those kinds of things. So it's super important to surround yourself with as a man, with other good men. You're going to be the product of the 5 or 7 people you spend the most time with. That's what you're going to be like. So if you're around people that are better than you at different things, you're going to level up in those areas and become better as well. And that's really kind of where this idea of high caliber hunts comes from. It's hunting is hunting, and I love hunting. I love spending time in camp, but when I can be around people who are better than me at that, or better than me at other areas in life, whether it's business or relationships or communication or whatever, it's really cool to put that hunting camp together with those kinds of guys or those kind of people, where, hey, we're out hunting, we're doing something fun, something that's not easy, it's hard, but we're also spending that downtime in a hunting camp to be able to learn about each other and grow, and maybe offer some value to each other. So that's really what high caliber hunts is. It's a hunt. You're spending time in hunting camp, where we're doing some pig hunting camps right now. We have some deer hunting camps coming up. We have all these different ideas and things that we're going to do. Maybe a couples hunt, a blind date style hunting camp where we're going to have couples. We're going to have a father's.
Do it over Valentine's Day, man.
I know. That's actually kind of funny you say that. Wouldn't be a bad idea, would it?
And like break out the heart and like really have a loving dinner.
Could have a loving supper with our couple, with our significant other in the ground blind. But a father-son hunt, those kinds of things. But right now, it's just really building your tribe within that hunting camp atmosphere. Getting to spend time and have the camaraderie and with like-minded individuals who want to level up and grow in life, but also have a good time in hunting camp and eat some good food and drink a few cold beverages and just enjoy each other's company. And here's the thing, man, I've done a couple of these now, and these guys are coming in here and they're meeting guys from all over the world that they are all over the United States who they never met before, and building friendships and relationships, and they're starting to work together on projects or coming up with new ideas for different things they want to do, or just building good friendships. It's really amazing to see this kind of come together. This small little idea I had based on my own experience in life that wasn't even necessarily hunting related, and now I'm bringing it into my passion of hunting to help others. So the hope is that those relationships and those times in the high caliber hunting camps can really make an impact on the individuals that are there, but then trickle down into their families, their friends, and their communities.
Yeah, I could think back to a time I was fly fishing in Alaska, and I mean, you go fishing all day and you're wasted. I mean, 3-4 o'clock hits, you're done. Especially if you don't fly fish all
Yep.
day, every day for your life. So it's a massive transition. So you just a lot of downtime, right? And
Yeah.
we're eating meals and we're eating good. But I just remember there was a table oh man, this is so funny. We're talking about this. There was a table for all the guides, and they sat over by themselves. And then there was all of us, all the clients, and there's like two tables, and we're getting to know, Joe from Arkansas or whatever, and it's fine.
Yep.
But these guides are so interesting. And then like by day 4, when you're heading home, you're like, tell me about you. Like, what's your background? Oh, and then they have this incredible story. But because they're supposed to sit at the outfitter table
Yeah.
and we're supposed to be at the client table, like those two paths shall not cross. It's like, why? What,
Yeah.
like, and maybe I get it. And maybe I get it. Maybe for so long in the industry, that's just what people wanted. They wanted to
That's
go and they
been the
wanted to
way.
have tunnel vision of like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to pay my money. I want to eat my food. I want to catch my fish, kill my deer, whatever. So I kind of see the background behind it, but I just think, as we've talked before, the challenges of society, it's like, what more does men need right now than don't shut down? That's a really good time to
Yeah.
sit forward and listen and add to the conversation.
And here's the reality of it. As men, especially, we are not always the best at expressing our feelings with other men, especially if we're okay, let's go sit down in a room and let's grab a chair and grab a water and we're going to sit down and talk about our feelings and talk about what's going on in our life. I mean, that just doesn't happen, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, it's we're not good at the 12 steps to becoming a better man. It
Yeah.
just isn't reality. So what's really cool though is we love to do things with other guys. We love to hang out. We love to work out with other guys. We love to hunt with other guys, and that opens up the opportunity for us to start having some of these conversations. That's one thing that we're trying to be really intentional about in the high caliber hunting camps is we're opening up these camps where when guys come in, hey, introduce yourself. What are you about? What are you working on? What are some of your goals? What are some of the things you're working on right now that somebody else may be here in this hunting camp that paid the same amount of money as you to be here? What can they do to help you grow and advance in your life? So it kind of opens up that conversation and kind of, lets everybody take a sigh of relief and be like, all right, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, and we could talk about some interesting things and maybe some deep things or some hard things as well. So, I mean, there's, and in one of the camps, we were talking about marriage, and one of the guys was having a real deep struggle with his wife and their relationship, and they've been married a long time, but they're going through some issues, and he needed these men around him to encourage him and help him to advance forward in his relationship and maybe see different things that he wasn't totally self-aware about. So that's the kind of stuff that's happening within a high caliber hunting camp. I know it's only been a few camps, but it's amazing to see these kinds of conversations that are happening because we are very intentional about how we put these camps together.
That's fantastic to hear. I mean, even on like a very micro level,
Yeah.
as I've shared my personal story as like an addict for 20 years, other men hear that and they're like, "Whoa, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what I dealt with, and this is how I overcame it, and it was hard. It was terrible. Like I wish there was another way to get around that, but there's just not. You have to head into it. You got to go into the storm."
Yeah.
And but as I've done that, it's been on a very small micro level, very one to
Yeah.
one. But these men kind of light up like, "Oh, I'm not broken. I don't have to be perfect.
Yep.
Okay, I get it now." And it's not sit around, hold hands, sing kumbaya, but it's like,
No.
you know, let's let's say a prayer together. Let's
Yeah.
eat a meal
Exactly.
together. And
Yeah.
that's going again back to those roots of how it was done primitively. These
Yeah.
deep
True.
connections of community. That's
Yeah.
that's how kind of what we were born with, right?
Yes. That's absolutely, you're 100% right, man. We need to break the stigma of men not sharing their feelings and sharing what's going on in their life, because it's really important for us to come around each other as men, especially to share those things and be open about them. One thing that I like to, I even said this on Instagram the other day, is your mess is your message. And once I got to a point in my life where I understood that, especially the last couple of years, it's freed me not only personally, because I can now talk about my screw ups and my mess ups and how I screwed up in my marriage or how I screwed up in my relationships and my businesses. And now I can, put that message out there and say, hey, this is where I screwed up. This is where I've messed up. But you know what, I'm working towards fixing that and working on that and leveling up in that area, and you can too. And I think that's what we really need as men around us right now is those kind of people. And like I already said, like that's my hope for what a high caliber hunting camp is all about, is breaking that stigma, bringing good men and good people around each other that are like-minded, where we can have awesome conversations and help each other grow and learn and level up and make an impact on everybody.
As a first generation bow hunter, for those that identify that way and are like, yeah, that's me. I think that could also have some other messages that you are a first generation something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Someone who is a first generation entrepreneur, someone who is a first generation college student. There are some parallels here that I think hopefully hit home to the
Yeah,
audience, and
yeah,
that's something to embrace and know that. And I think when I share this show with people and I'm like, oh, first generation bow hunter, you get to learn how to bow hunt and don't make the same mistakes I did and blah blah blah. It might also have this message of, oh, you're new, you don't know, you have to listen to 7 episodes and then you have the ability to go shoot a bow, which is absolutely not the case.
yeah.
I just want to celebrate the fact that, hey, we're all here together, but we actually have so much strength to bring to
Yes,
hunting,
to
to
each
our
other.
families, to each other.
Yep,
You think about alcoholism back in the 70s and 80s and how a lot of our parents and a lot
yep,
of our generation dealt with that and kind of trickled down to our
yep,
generation. We're
yep.
products of that. And so I I just think this is just my wish, and I think it's the high caliber hunt way, right? I think we
Yeah,
share a mission in this is
yeah, absolutely.
we're just paving new pathways. It's not just getting a deer. It's not just, oh, I'm going on a
Yeah.
cool paid hunt and I get to hang with Collin. It is so much bigger. It's so much bigger. So
Yes.
yeah, it gets me stoked, man. I love it.
Yeah, it really is, man, and that's my heart. You know, obviously I have this passion for hunting and being around good people, but the when you don't have, you know, something inside of you that wants to make an impact, you're never going to be fulfilled, I think, in that. And I've dealt with that in the past with other business, you know, ventures that I've built. I didn't have an end thought. It was money and fame and fortune and those kinds of things that were what I was hoping for. But in this, man, I don't care how much money I make. I don't care, you know, where it goes, honestly, as long as I can help a couple people out and it helps me out as well, in the sense of that we're making an impact on each other and helping each other grow and level up in life. I think that for me is all I need. And that's what's going to fulfill me. And I think that there's something important about investing your time and your money and your energy into things that are going to help you grow and learn. And you know, yeah, you're investing in a hunt, a guided hunting camp or whatever, but you're actually investing in awesome relationships with really good people and people that are going to come around you and give you value and want to help you, and people that are going to hopefully become your friend for a long time and help you continue to level up in your life for years and years to come.
That's awesome. Yeah, if anyone knows me for longer than this podcast, they know I had this really strong personal brand of wearing red glasses, and it was
Yeah,
this big thing, and it kind of floats around. You know, I still got photos out there I got to go update, but I got LASIK in December, and I don't
awesome.
have to wear these glasses anymore
Yeah,
because I love working in the garage and kind of getting into tools and stuff. And I went through a transition where I had to let go of those red glasses and be like, you know what?
yeah,
I'm okay without them, and I don't have to go be this guy and this public speaker. And I had to really shed a lot of that, and I'm so glad I did. I even just in the last 6 months, I've gone on this kind of interesting little journey of letting those go. And yeah,
yeah. That's cool.
that eye surgery was kind of one of the biggest things for me. It's been a fun transition to kind of start fresh. So man,
You've got to have a little bit of an identity shift in your life that maybe has opened up your realm of possibilities further than you ever thought, Adam. You know, that's a pretty cool thing to think about. Like, you were stuck in this place where, hey, I'm Adam, I'm the marketing guy, like I
mhm,
got the red glasses, this is I you know, I do all these certain things, and that's who I am. And I can totally relate with that, because that's who I was. I was a social media marketing guy.
yeah,
I ran my little agency. I was the guy that everybody came to for logos and social media work in the hunting industry. But I broke out of that myself and said, you know what, there's more here. Like, I'm not just a hunting guy. I'm not just a hunting industry guy. Like, I can make an impact on people all around me, whether they're a hunter or not. Hunting just happens to be a part of my life that I'm passionate about, and I can use as an opportunity not only to bring people into the hunting community, but also to reach out to people who maybe would have never been part of the hunting community. So it's a cool thing, man. And I give you kudos for breaking out of that and seeing outside of that, and kind of almost reinventing yourself in a way.
Yeah. At age 38, never too late.
Hey,
I feel young.
I think statistics show that we reinvent ourselves like 3 different times or 4 different times in life or something like that. So
It's
hey,
not a mid and
good.
it's not a midlife crisis. It's like a midlife reinvention,
There you go.
reinvigoration. Boom.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly,
man,
bro.
what a cool conversation. I absolutely love this one. It was good. It's fun to touch on, the hunting side, but also just some of those deeper things, which I think are super relatable. And
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, man, like, how do I shoot my bow better? Eh, You'll find it. Go watch
Go look up John
John
Dudley on
Dudley.
YouTube.
That's totally like, but some of this emotional stuff that we talked about, that is a key part of this. I believe in that. That's why I hit publish on these recordings. Otherwise, uh, yeah, we could just go watch bow videos all day, but there's more to it. Well, thank you so much, man. High Caliber Hunts, check that out. It's got its own Instagram. Collin Cottrell, he's got his Instagram. Connect with him there. And I'm telling you, man, you message Collin, he's going to message you back. He's going to influence you on a very cool, deeper level. So, Collin, thank you for your friendship and good to know you all these years.
Yeah, you too, buddy. I really appreciate it. Just great having a conversation with you. Hope it was valuable for those listening. And if you did hear this podcast, seriously, drop me a message. I'd love to connect with people. I love to help them out and try to do what I can to help them move forward, whether it's in their life or their bow hunting stuff or whatever it is, man. I'm here to listen and try to help people out. That's what I love to do. So thanks again, man. I really appreciate this.
This has been episode 18, First Generation Bowhunter. Thank you for tuning in. Would love to see a review from you on Apple Podcast. If this has provided some value to you, if you're liking it, share something specific. Maybe it was something from this episode with Collin. Maybe it was from a previous episode. Pass it along to a friend as well. Chances are, as you're going through this journey of being a first generation bow hunter, you are texting your friends, asking them questions, and maybe they don't have the answers. So as you're doing that, if one of these episodes hits a chord with you, please pass it along. Want to keep these episodes going, and it's been fun to see what episodes are a little bit more popular than others. I will say the how to choose a bow and arrows is the most popular episode to date, and that's perfectly fine. I totally love that, and that's great. But there's a lot of other great things that we have in store. So tune in, make sure you're subscribed. Jump on Spotify. We got those fun Q&As and polls on there. Drop in a vote. Check that out. And thank you so much, Collin, for joining, and we will catch you on the next episode.